For decades, free trade has been the backbone of North America's automotive industry, driving its success. However, rising trade tensions are shifting the landscape, with Canada now turning its attention toward Europe. The question is, why now? And what does this mean for the future of cars? More importantly, how will it impact you? If this power shift continues, car prices could soar, factories might close, and automakers like Tesla, General Motors, and Ford could face an unprecedented crisis. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this could be the biggest shakeup in automotive history. Imagine waking up to find your dream car suddenly costs an extra $10,000. It sounds unreal, but it could happen sooner than you think. The auto industry stands on the brink of an economic transformation that could redefine how vehicles are built, sold, and priced across North America. Historically, the United States and Canada have been deeply connected economic partners, especially in the automotive sector. Automakers on both sides of the border have depended on each other for materials, labor, and production efficiencies. A single vehicle isn't built in just one country. Its parts travel back and forth multiple times before it ever reaches a showroom floor. This system has worked seamlessly until now. A sudden shift in trade policies is sending shockwaves through the industry, and the consequences could be severe. The United States has imposed heavy tariffs on Canadian goods, threatening the cost structures automakers have relied on for years. But Canada isn't backing down. Ottawa's response is sharp, calculated, and capable of reshaping the auto market in ways few anticipated. Supply chains that once ran like well-oiled machines are now at risk, and the potential fallout could be devastating for both automakers and consumers. The North American car market stands at the edge of chaos, with buyers left to bear the financial burden. In the midst of this turmoil, one company is taking a massive hit. Tesla, the electric vehicle giant, could soon find itself transformed into a luxury brand overnight. In a stunning turn of events, Tesla now faces the brunt of this trade war, with consequences that could change its market position forever. Canada is considering a massive 100% tariff on Tesla vehicles in direct response to the United States' trade policies. For Canadian buyers, this would be an economic gut punch, effectively doubling the cost of popular models like the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y. A car that once sold for $50,000 could suddenly skyrocket to $100,000, pricing many consumers out of the market entirely. But the impact extends far beyond just Tesla buyers in Canada. Tesla isn't just another automaker in Canada, it's deeply embedded in the nation's supply chain. The company relies on key Canadian-sourced materials such as nickel, lithium, and aluminum, all of which are essential for battery production. If Canada retaliates by restricting access to these critical resources, Tesla will be forced to look elsewhere, driving up production costs, causing slowdowns, and potentially leading to higher electric vehicle prices in the United States as well. Wall Street is paying close attention. Tesla's stock price is notoriously volatile when it comes to trade disputes, and even the mere rumor of Canadian restrictions could send investors into a frenzy. For Tesla, this isn't just a regulatory headache, it's a direct threat to long-term growth. But while Tesla takes the brunt of this counterstrike, it's far from the only automaker feeling the heat. The entire North American industry is now on shaky ground. Most consumers don't realize just how much of their vehicle is built in Canada until that supply is suddenly cut off. The modern auto industry operates on a just-in-time manufacturing system designed to minimize waste and maximize efficiency by producing only what's needed, exactly when it's needed. In theory, this keeps costs low and production running smoothly. In reality, it makes automakers highly vulnerable to disruptions, especially when key components become unavailable without warning. For brands like Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, Canadian-made parts are critical. Everything from wiring harnesses and steel frames to lithium-ion batteries and aluminum panels crosses the border daily. If trade restrictions tighten, supply chains that once functioned seamlessly could grind to a halt, leaving automakers scrambling for alternatives and consumers facing rising prices. A single missing component can bring an entire production line to a standstill, leading to costly shutdowns, delays, and workforce reductions. Unlike other industries, automakers can't simply swap out these parts overnight. The machinery, expertise, and raw materials needed for production are concentrated in specialized plants, many of which are located in Canada. Without access to these resources, vehicle production in the United States could grind to a halt. This isn't just a logistical challenge, it's a financial crisis. Assembly lines designed to operate with precision are now at risk of slowing indefinitely, forcing automakers to scramble for alternative suppliers. Many companies are already experiencing shortages, and if these supply chain bottlenecks worsen, automakers will be left with difficult choices: reduce output, raise prices, or pass the added costs onto consumers. The ripple effect will spread across dealerships, factories, and households as car prices climb, production stalls, and jobs hang in the balance. But why is the US suddenly losing control? For years, the United States dictated trade terms, using its economic power to shape policies that benefited domestic manufacturers. This time, however, Canada is calling the shots. Unlike past disputes where Canada played a more defensive role, it now has a strategic advantage, thanks to its access to critical materials, an expanding list of global trade partners, and its central role in the North American supply chain. One of Canada's biggest strengths is its resource wealth. As one of the world's leading producers of nickel, lithium, and aluminum, essential materials for modern vehicle manufacturing, Canada holds the key to the future of the auto industry. Without these resources, US automakers will struggle to meet demand, especially as the shift toward electric vehicles accelerates. At the same time, Canada is strengthening economic ties with Europe, providing a viable alternative to US-based trade. While the US imposes tariffs, European automakers are making deals, potentially leaving American brands at a serious disadvantage. The political standoff is escalating, and neither side is willing to back down. Washington is betting that its pressure campaign will force Canada to yield, but Ottawa has shown no signs of retreat. Instead, its actions suggest it is prepared to shift its economic focus away from the United States entirely if the trade conflict worsens. If that happens, the consequences for American automakers could be catastrophic. The auto industry is heading into uncharted territory. Supply chain disruptions, rising costs, and economic instability all point to a future where cars are more expensive, production is more complicated, and trade relations are more fragile than ever before. This isn't just a trade dispute, it's a battle for economic dominance, and its outcome will shape the future of the North American auto industry for years to come. US car prices could surge, but that's just the beginning. The ripple effect on buyers will be unavoidable. A new car is already expensive. What if it suddenly cost $10,000 more? That's not just a hypothetical scenario. It's a very real possibility, and it could happen sooner than expected. The moment tariffs are introduced, automakers' costs will skyrocket. Everything from raw materials to essential components will become more expensive, and manufacturers won't absorb these costs. They'll pass them directly to buyers. That means dealership sticker prices could see an unprecedented jump. Most people don't realize just how many components in their vehicles come from Canada: the steel in the frame, the aluminum in the body, and even the lithium in electrics. Vehicle batteries all cross the border before a car is assembled. If these materials suddenly face tariffs, manufacturers will have to pay double or even triple the usual cost. With production already expensive, that increase will be reflected in the final price of the vehicle. Dealerships won't be immune to the pressure either. Automakers set their pricing based on supply chain costs, and dealerships must follow suit. They don't just sell cars, they operate within a system that already has thin profit margins. When the cost of acquiring vehicles rises, so do the prices on the lot. Even the used car market won't offer much relief. As new car prices surge, more buyers will turn to pre-owned options, driving demand through the roof. When demand outpaces supply, prices climb, making affordability disappear and leaving consumers paying more, no matter what route they take. For the average buyer, the impact is clear. Monthly car payments will increase, auto loans will become more expensive, and leasing options will be less attractive. The dream of owning a new vehicle could slip out of reach for millions of people. And just when it seems like things couldn't get worse, the crisis doesn't stop at car prices. It's only the beginning of a much bigger problem. The auto industry is in freefall, with job losses and factory closures looming. When factories can't get the parts they need, they shut down, and workers bear the brunt of the impact. The North American auto industry was built on efficiency, operating under a just-in-time manufacturing system where parts arrive precisely when needed to avoid excess inventory. It's a system that functions flawlessly, until it doesn't. The moment tariffs disrupt supply chains, factories slow down, production lines stall, and thousands of workers are sent home without a paycheck. Detroit, Michigan, and Toledo, Ohio, are just two of the cities that could face devastating job losses. In these places, auto manufacturing isn't just an industry. It's the economic backbone of entire communities. If factories close, the ripple effects will be felt far beyond the automotive sector, leaving businesses, workers, and families struggling to survive in an economy that's becoming increasingly unstable. When assembly plants struggle, it's not just auto workers who suffer. The impact ripples outward, affecting suppliers, transportation companies, and even local businesses that rely on factory workers to stay afloat. Layoffs are only the beginning. Some manufacturers may shift production to other countries to avoid rising costs, while others might implement hiring freezes or wage cuts for those fortunate enough to keep their jobs. The economic devastation wouldn't be limited to a single sector. It would stretch across industries, affecting countless workers who have no direct connection to car manufacturing. This isn't just about numbers on a corporate balance sheet. It's about real people, real families, and real lives being upended. The worst part? This isn't a short-term crisis. Once factories shut down and workers are laid off, reopening them isn't as simple as flipping a switch. The damage lingers, and recovery can take years. While workers struggle to find stability, the effects of this crisis extend even further, straight to Wall Street, where billions of dollars hang in the balance. Tesla's stock is notoriously volatile even in stable times. What happens when Canada threatens its supply chain? The stock market does not handle uncertainty well, and this trade war is shaping up to be one of the biggest economic unknowns in recent history. Investors panic when they see industries at risk, and automakers are at the center of this financial storm. The moment production slows, profits drop, and when profits drop, stock prices follow. General Motors, Ford, and Tesla all have billions at stake, and investors know it. Even a slight disruption could send their stock values plummeting. The problem doesn't stop at automakers. The automotive industry is deeply intertwined with the broader financial system. Banks that provide auto loans, hedge funds that invest in manufacturing, and even retirement accounts that hold stock in major car companies could all feel the impact. A full-blown tariff war with Canada wouldn't just raise car prices, it could trigger an economic shockwave, shaking financial markets and leaving investors scrambling to protect their assets. The stakes are higher than ever, and as tensions rise, the future of North America's auto industry and its economy hangs in the balance.